everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco Matta Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. Wherever you are right now, let it teach you something. Be kind to yourself on the journey and in the process of who you are becoming. This is something that I've had to keep close to my heart for the last couple of years while I've grown in so many different capacities of my life. And this weekend, I had this moment to myself where I realized how far I've come. And so I wanted to do a special episode on how I got to where I am now. So before we jump into that, though, let's go ahead and jump into the taco of the week. This weekend, I got the opportunity to eat a Mediterranean gyro, which I haven't had in a super long time, and it filled my heart up with so much happiness. And I was like, yep, we're making this week's taco inspired by this. So I actually created the Greek beef tacos for those of you that are not lamb fans. This is also one of those things where you can substitute your protein of choice, whether it be ground beef, ground chicken, ground lamb. Go nuts with the protein, folks. But regardless, this is something that you want to go and check out in the show notes after the episode ends today because it's pretty delicious. And of course, it's healthy. So you're welcome. All right, let's jump on into the episode for today. So, like I mentioned, I had this moment this weekend where I was just like totally present and totally joyful and was just like, wow. I remember like crying in my room, like to my pillow, and just like having these moments of doubt of like, when are things ever going to happen for me? In just certain and different capacities of my life. And here I am sort of living the dream, living everything that I'd hoped for. And I shouldn't say everything. There's still some big dreams, some big goals that I have. But if we look at things in a very well-rounded space or way, I am just completely head over heels with my life right now. To kind of take you guys back a little bit, not so far back to, you know, the way old life before I got healthy and in a better headspace, but just these last couple of years have tested me emotionally and mentally when it comes to the relationships, both romantic and non-romantic, that I've had in my life, in my career, leaving my job, leaving my corporate career and starting my own business in health and wellness, leaving that business a little bit off to the side to then pursue more in-person personal training, and now being an online trainer for DECA and all these different things. Like, my life has just shifted for the best. And these are all things that, you know, maybe at that point in time in my life, I didn't know or didn't fully believe were going to actually happen. And now here I am living out those dreams and living out those hopes. And it's just incredible. And so I was like, you know what, this is a good time to talk about how these things came into my life. And so I'm going to give you examples potentially of different things that have come into my life. But more importantly, I just want to talk about some of the key principles that allowed for me to navigate the different seasons of life that I traveled to, and allowed for me to ultimately end up where I'm at now, and even more importantly, are going to continue to help me progress and grow into the dreams and hopes that I have for the future as they continue to progress. So this is all about an episode of how did I get here? So the first thing of what got me to where I'm at today is I redefined what I considered success in my life fairly often. When I was in my corporate career about 4 years ago, it's crazy to think it's been that long, success to me at that point was having a big bank account, being able to buy whatever it is that I wanted without having to blink an eye, climbing the work ladder, promotional ladder, and I did that very well, having good relationships. It was a lot around materialistic things, a lot around what I thought success was, especially when you look at our society. It's all about having more and more things and more money. And I eventually got burned out on trying to keep up with that lifestyle and realized that the job that I was doing, the people that I was surrounding myself with, they weren't actually bringing me joy. They weren't actually, therefore, bringing me a life of success. And it was scary because I didn't know what success actually looked like. And so I had to start asking myself those questions of what would make me happy? What would make me feel like I'm making an impact and make me successful? And those questions completely altered my life, right? That's when I started to get a lot into the Tony Robbins realm, and did a lot on his type of mindset work. Started just diving into personal development books and just different podcasts and learning from all of these experts that have been in the space for so long. But all of that to say is I had to consistently throughout the last 4 to 5 years define what success looked like for me. And today I'm still redefining what that looks like. And what's crazy is there's still those moments where I find myself measuring myself off of previous versions of success. And I have to stop myself in my tracks and kind of call myself out a little bit and say, that isn't what brings you joy. That isn't what is going to bring you the ultimate successful lifestyle that you truly want. So why are you measuring yourself off of those things? And that's been something that's been really helpful for me. And so if you haven't done that as of recently, this is an amazing time to go back and do that for this season of life that you're in. And this season is up to you, right? As far as, does it span a couple of weeks? Does it span a couple of months, year, several years? What does this season of life bring, or what would success look like in this season of life? Ask yourself that question and get super granular from personal to professional, and even further into that, right? Like personal, what do your relationships look like? What does your home life look like? On the professional side, obviously you have, what does your career look like? Just being able to get super granular into these different things. I think what you'll come to find is maybe some resistance. Maybe some of the things that you thought were bringing success or had this idea of success really aren't anymore. They aren't really that important to you. Maybe you kind of were like me, where you realized you were making all of the money but had no joy and didn't feel like you were actually making an impact with what it is that you were doing. So just an awesome opportunity to make sure that you understand what it looks like for this current season of life and that you have really good measures. So that way, when you are consistently creating new goals and measuring yourself off of those goals, right? Your metrics and your goals make sense, and there's things that you're actually excited about. They're things that are actually going to bring you that excitement, that joy. So that's one of the biggest things that I really do believe has helped me get to where I'm at today, is again, redefining success and doing that very often. The next thing that helped me get to where I'm at today is I started to ask myself better questions and allowed myself to actually listen. When I was in my corporate career, I honestly don't remember if I ever asked myself questions, if I ever called myself out, if I was ever honest. And even if I was, I don't know if I ever actually listened. I didn't know what questions to ask myself. I took orders, I followed directions, I just tried to figure it out as I went, and who could blame me, right? I'm a 22-year-old first-time corporate professional, and I just, I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate the adult real world. So you can't really blame me. But when you start to ask yourself tougher, deeper, better questions, you get better answers. And when you get better answers and you actually listen to those answers, that's when you start to have your own back. And that's where you can start to build trust within yourself. And that's where you honestly start to live life on your terms rather than on other people's terms. And so there were moments where I had to ask myself, am I really happy in this? Is this the thing that I want to be doing? Are these the people and the activities that are filling up my calendar and my social life? Are these the things that are actually bringing me joy and allowing for me to become the person that I want to be? I had to ask myself those questions, and they were sometimes really hard to answer. But once I got to the root of it and I was able to listen and take some action on them, again, that's where things started to shift, just along with, right, redefining success. I think that those two come in handy is you got to ask yourself the tough questions and make sure that you're in line with the life that you want to live and the goals, therefore, that come from that. So ask yourself better questions to get better answers and actually allow yourself to listen to those. And the best way that I did this is I had to take time to myself. And this time to yourself, it might depend on your current schedule, but I can tell you if this is important to you, you will find time to do it. Like being too busy to sit down with a notebook and a pen, that's an excuse. And I'm sorry, if you actually care about living life on your terms and having that freedom, this is a non-negotiable. And I remember I did this, if I couldn't do it every morning, I did it at least once a week, right? And now I'm not doing it once a week. I'm probably doing once a month, if not once every other month. But whatever that looks like for you, 5, 10, 15, a whole hour, right? Maybe even a whole day just to go get up in the mountains and do your thing where you just like are totally unplugged. That sounds awesome. Can I go do that now? That just gives you the space and the opportunity to actually allow for yourself to think and hear yourself clearly. So that is definitely something that has helped me get to where I'm at today. The next thing, and I talk about this quite often, is do hard things, but do them with patience. And when I say do hard things, I also mean lean into fear. I think hard and fear kind of go in the same bucket. But this doing it with patience is this thing that I think that we forget. We could do hard things, and our hard and our fears are defined very differently, and they look very different from person to person. But regardless of that, we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to be patient with the divine timing of our life and how the universe is showing up for us daily. And so I think that we all understand, we all know what doing hard things, what those hard things are. So I'm not going to give you a lecture on, this is how you know if it's a hard thing. That's not particularly useful. But with patience is the thing that I want to specifically hit on, is when you start to do hard things, well, are you also doing the follow-up? That follow-up being the reflection piece, right? How did you feel? What came from it? What did this teach you? What wins can I celebrate in either how I showed up or what was the results, or again, just the things that came from it? That to me is what patience really is taking the moment to be present, to actually reflect on the situation, celebrate ourselves, and really get lost in the process of becoming, right? I think all of us can do hard things every day, but to do it with patience and not get frustrated with ourselves or get frustrated with the outcomes of why isn't something happening now? Well, we could be doing all the right things and the outcome that we want might not show up for a really long time. And that's just a part of life. That's just a part of the process. So doing hard things with patience, that patience piece is incredibly important. So again, when you are doing these hard things, or you following up with some of those things that I mentioned, and I think that that's going to help you really dive into that patience piece and slow down and have the joy of being in the process, right? Rather than just skipping over it and waiting to be on the podium or be on the top or whatever it is, right? It's just being able to actually enjoy exactly where your feet are at now. The next thing that has allowed for me to get to where I am at today is not taking anything personally and realizing that there is a bigger reason at play. This is something where I had to realize that the universe, or whatever higher powers there are, they weren't picking on me by giving me kind of these shitstorm of situations. And these people that were maybe exiting my life, treating me in a certain way, just things that were coming to my life, I had to stop taking them personally. And I don't mean this in a way where you're negligent and you're not owning what's coming to you, right? Like, how did I play a part in this outcome? I'm not saying that you shy away from that, but for example, when people choose to walk in and out of your life, being able to not take that personally and understand that there are so many different reasons and circumstances as to the reason why they're leaving, that helped me a lot, of being able to say, this isn't personal, but I am going to allow for myself to take what it is that I need to take from this, to learn the lesson, and to trust in the timing of my life, to trust that the universe is going to bring me to the outcome of exactly where it is that I need to be, right? I think also one thing that I told myself very often that plays really well into this is I would always tell myself that I am being tested because the universe knows that I can handle it. And that is something that in the moments where I was just like, I feel like I've learned all the lessons, why? Being able to say I'm being tested because something greater than me knows that I can handle it, that to me seemed like an amazing challenge and a gift that I didn't want to let pass by, that I wanted to explore fully and get the most out of it that I could. So in these different things that you do, in these different hard things and different seasons that you navigate in your life, work on not taking things personally and realizing that there are other things at play. And also realizing that you are being tested, you are going through these things on purpose, not because they're picking on you, but because you're strong enough to actually handle it. Because they know in order for you to actually live life on your terms, you've got to go through this first. And when you do, it's going to teach you everything and build you into the person that you need to be in order to handle what's at that next level. So that was something that has been huge for me over the last couple of years. The next thing, and this is where I would say a lot of these things started to show up within this past year, the last 6 or 8 months. And the thing that I have done really well, that I'm super proud of, is just focused on the one thing. At the beginning of this year, after going to World Championships for DECA, I realized that I want to go all in on it and that I needed to do whatever was necessary in order to do that. But one of the things that was absolutely necessary was just to stay focused on it. There are so many different like races and competition lines and things just even in my life, right, where it can be somewhat distracting. And distracting is not necessarily bad, but when you want specific things, you have to make choices, make sacrifices. And for me, focusing just on DECA and allowing for myself, of course, to have like some fun races throughout the year, just, on a whim, that was the thing that I wanted to give to myself, was give myself that gift of just focus. And by allowing for myself to be patient in the process, to give myself the space to listen and reflect, and to just stay focused on this one goal of making it into the elite wave. And now I have some other goals, but we're going to keep that under wraps. It has allowed for me to grow in ways that I could have never have imagined. Like to be sitting in 4th place in the entire world for the females, a few weeks out of, I think we're almost under a month now, left of the qualifying times, to still be sitting at 4th place in the entire world and to have come 7 seconds off the world record for a DECA strong female teams, to even just be racing alongside some of these people that I've had the opportunity to race alongside with. Like the year that I've had in athletics is unlike anything I've ever experienced. I have never won, and I have won a lot of things this year. And it's just, it's foreign to me. But what's not shocking about this is it's because I've focused on one thing. And so this is an opportunity to, again, go back to that very first thing that I said, is redefine what success looks like for you. But then now when you know what that actually is, can you go back into your, let's say, last couple of weeks or last month and do an audit on your schedule and where it is that you've spent your time? Would you say that you are spending time in the areas that actually matter for you to move the needle on the things that you say that are important to you? And if it is not, well, then now you know where you need to spend your time. So staying focused on one thing, while it might sound a little boring and it doesn't sound sexy, guys, I can tell you it's 100% worth it. And the time is going to compile, the work is going to compile, and you will inevitably over time, not instantly, but over time, you will see and reap the rewards of all the work that you've put in. And I'm excited to see where I end at the end of this year because of the focus that I have put on just these few things that truly matter to me. The other thing that I did particularly this year, because I suck at delegating and I suck at asking for help, is I stopped doing things alone. I stopped trying to pretend like I could handle the weight of the world and do all the things by myself because I felt like I kind of had to. And I was like, you know what? If I want to be the best, I have to work with the best. And that means that I want a team of people that believe in me, that support me, that cheer me on. And I want someone that is going to see what I am capable of and push me beyond my limits in ways that I would never be able to do, right? And that's what I did when I found my coach, Kevin Gregory, is he's been able to see what it is that I'm capable of and push me mentally and physically in ways that I never would have done by myself. And through working with him, I've been brought into this incredible Underdog Fitness team where I get to just be constantly surrounded by the best people that are always striving for the best. And so when you're in those types of environments, you elevate as a byproduct. And so I hate to like be the person that's going to drop the hammer, but stop being stubborn. Stop being stubborn. Stop thinking that you need to do this alone, and actually allow for yourself to extend out the olive branch to other people. Because by doing that, I can tell you, in addition to the focus that I've done, by bringing on someone that can see what I'm capable of and actually push me in ways and challenge me in ways that will keep me focused on what it is that's important to me, guys, the growth is insane. It is so insane. And you know what? It's fun. It is so fun. Like, I get goosebumps. Like, I can't imagine not having the team and the coach that I have this year. Like, I couldn't imagine doing this by myself. And so if you have been sitting there wondering, how am I going to have the time? How am I going to pay for it? Do I really actually need it? Will I find value in it? Those are all things that are screaming that there's an insecurity there. Whether it's an insecurity of fitting in, being enough, fear of failure, whatever that might be, I would first explore those and why it is that you're struggling to actually believe that you are worth that type of investment. And then put your ego aside, get over yourself, stop being stubborn, and realize that where you want to go and who you want to be is on the other side of saying yes to help. Truly. Last few things here is I got to where I'm at today because I decided to own it and show up as her now. I've talked about this before, but we think about what it is that we want for the future and how we define success. And we have these incredible like daydreams and visions, but yet we don't show up as that person because we feel like we can't until we have the title, until we have the accolades, until we have the tangible results. Well, I say screw that. In order to be them, we have to show up as them now. We have to do what success is now. And so, in addition to redefining success and what it looks like for this season of life, define and thoroughly put out attributes and habits and processes and routines that this person, that this future version of you does on a consistent basis. And start showing up as that person now. Because what do you have to lose? Tell you what you have to lose is time. The results that you're more than capable of getting, but you are selling yourself short of. Show up as that person now. And guys, you don't need confidence in order to show up as that person now. Confidence is an illusion in the fact that people think that you have to have confidence in order to take action. You actually get confidence from taking action. So this is where you have to dig deep into your courage, into your why this is so important for you to do this, and start to just take steps courageously into being that person now and freaking own it. It is so much easier said than done, but own it. I remember when I started doing online programming for DECA athletes, and I was just like, I haven't even like done this a full year. Like, yes, I've been to world championships, and yes, I'm a certified trainer, and I know like what to do, but like, I don't have the accolades. Like, I don't have totally all the proof. So I feel kind of like an imposter doing this. I would freak myself out. And I'm like, no, I'm going to own that I know what I've been through and how I've progressed this far. And I'm going to help the right athletes and trust that I'm going to attract the right athletes to help. And over time, I'm going to learn and I'm going to get better. And that's what this whole process is about. I don't expect to be perfect now. No one expects me to be perfect now. In fact, here's something crazy, you guys, is people don't care about what you know until they know that you care. They could care less about what you know, but they care a lot about how you make them feel. So don't worry about this perfectionist lifestyle or trying to be the best of the best off the first go. It's just not going to happen. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to communicate and say, hey, I'm doing this for the first time. We're going to learn together. Because guess what? They're probably going to respect you a hell of a lot more and realize that, hey, this person's got my back and they actually want to listen to what I have to say, right? So all of that to say, own it. Whatever that looks like for you, show up as that person and own it now. And this is where I want to leave you for today, is that sometimes when something doesn't work out as you wanted, there's something better coming your way. Although it's difficult to believe in something better from where you currently stand, sometimes redirection is a helpful intervention, leading you away from problems you could not predict and towards benefits you could not even imagine. Sometimes mistakes lead you to lessons learned and growth gained, all which help you to become more and get more than you might have become and gotten otherwise. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. I hope that this podcast was super helpful. And if it was, be sure to share this with friends and family that need to hear the message. And you guys, I will just remind you again, I talked a lot about not doing this alone and getting help. If you are interested in coaching, there's a couple of options that I have for you. If you are in the DECA world and you are looking to do your first race, or you're looking to improve upon your next race time, I do one-on-one coaching, and you can go to the show notes right where the taco recipe is at and fill out a form so that we can get on the phone and talk about what it is that you'd be interested in receiving support on. In addition, I also just released a DECA workshop, a 90-minute replay full of tons of helpful things on each of the zones, breaking them down to help you become more efficient in your race and more confident so you can crush your upcoming one. So again, thank you guys so much for being alongside for the ride, and I will see you guys next week for another episode of Taco About to Tuesday. See you then.